Certainly, at some point in life, you've wanted to develop a new habit or eliminate a vice. Certainly, at some point, you've had a strong desire to change things, start improving, and act rightly. However, as you may have noticed, this is much harder to do than it seems. We've all faced failure at some point in not being able to achieve what we set out to do, and there's a fundamental part of the process of becoming better people that is difficult for everyone. Fulfilling this fundamental part is discipline. How many times have you made a plan, committed to your goal, only to stop after a few days, give in to impulses, and revert to your old self? As I said, it's something that has happened to all of us at some point. However, just because it's something that happens to everyone doesn't mean it's right or that we should normalize this situation. Normalizing mediocrity only invites us to be mediocre, to settle, to lose the will to challenge ourselves in life, and ultimately, to lose the possibility of becoming the best version of ourselves. Let me tell you that if you can't overcome your vices, change your habits, or fulfill your goals, you probably lack discipline. Discipline is a person's ability to overcome their short-term desires. Short-term desire is the enemy of habit change. Therefore, to change habits, we need to develop our discipline. It's simply the act of doing what you should do when you should do it, even if you don't want to. In this video, I will explain why discipline is so important to be better at what we set out to do. We'll also talk about why it's becoming increasingly difficult to be disciplined, and I'll give you several tips to work on your discipline. Before we begin, I'd appreciate it if you could give the video a thumbs up, as it helps spread this philosophy to more people. If you don't want to miss any videos, subscribe and hit the bell. I'll also leave a link in the description of this video to my other social media, where I share more historical content. Historians argue that we should self-govern, promote self-examination, self-control, responsibility, and objectivity. All of this helps us to live with virtue, leading a full and happy life. And to live with virtue, the most basic tool is discipline. Discipline allows us to be free, as it gives us the ability to choose. In the modern world, people are slaves to their desires. Who do you think is freer, a lazy person who always wakes up late, never fulfills their obligations, or someone who wakes up early and always fulfills their responsibilities? At first glance, it may seem that the lazy person is freer because they do what they want to live as lazy people. However, the lazy person has no ability to choose, as they will never be able to live a life different from the one they have. They live enslaved by laziness. While the disciplined person, who wakes up early and fulfills their responsibilities, has the ability to choose, they can choose to be lazy or responsible. In fact, this choice is available every morning of their life. The disciplined person, in their freedom of choice, chooses to act with discipline because they know it's the right thing to do. This is what true freedom is, being able to choose to be responsible when one must and choose fun and pleasure when one has fulfilled responsibilities. The disciplined person lives free, while the lazy person lives enslaved by their laziness, without the possibility of improvement, as they live deluded thinking they are freer or happier. This example can be applied to any vice you can imagine. Now that we've clarified that discipline makes us freer, we need to understand what it really means to be disciplined. Every time we have a goal, whether it's losing weight, building a business, becoming an elite athlete, or an amazing musician, it requires work to achieve it. But it's not enough to strive for one day, constant effort is required. And to make that effort, we need to overcome our impulses, and the ability to overcome these impulses, to act despite the temptation not to, is discipline. Being disciplined doesn't mean you'll never feel the desire to relax, it just means you've developed the ability to resist that feeling. The more you resist these types of impulses, the better you'll become at doing so in the future. Discipline is developed like a muscle. It's also important to understand the difference between discipline and motivation. Motivation is a great fuel for accomplishing things, but it's inconsistent. One day you wake up motivated, and the next day that motivation may have disappeared. Therefore, a person who relies solely on motivation will never be able to make a change in their life or achieve their goals because, as we saw before, constant effort is required, not just for a few days. However, when you're a disciplined person, the outcome is different. Motivation can help you start, but when motivation disappears, discipline takes over. It keeps us moving toward our goal, even when we're unmotivated. Do you think an elite athlete always feels like training, or that a successful writer always feels like writing, or that the most successful entrepreneur always feels like working? That's where the difference between those who settle for little and those who want to improve comes in. We all feel like sitting on the couch or lying in bed, but not everyone has the ability to overcome that desire. And that's where the disciplined person has an advantage over others. And why are there so many undisciplined people in the modern world? Because it's becoming so difficult to be disciplined nowadays? This is happening because life is becoming easier and easier. When your survival is at stake, there's no room to fail to fulfill your responsibilities, as your life depends on it. But when life becomes easy, two conditions develop and make it difficult to cultivate discipline. The first condition is temptations. We're surrounded by more sources of temptation and distraction than ever before, making it increasingly difficult to overcome our desires. Things like television or social media are competing for our attention, and many of them are designed to attract and engage us. We have the ability in our hands to do whatever we want through the internet. Never before has humanity had so many different possibilities to distract ourselves and not work. I'm not saying all these things are bad, but it's up to us to learn to manage the time we dedicate to all of this. The second condition is the lack of resistance. An easier life also offers us fewer opportunities to practice discipline. As mentioned before, discipline is like a muscle, and it will atrophy if not used. In the modern world, it's not necessary to be disciplined to survive. Amazon offers us next-day deliveries, Netflix allows us to watch whatever we want whenever we want, social media provides us with dopamine hits when we need them, and we can order food that will arrive at our doorstep in 30 minutes. The list goes on. As I mentioned in my video about the art of being disciplined, instant gratification is slowly eliminating opportunities for us to practice discipline. We're becoming impatient, our attention span is decreasing. There's a phrase from Seneca that I like very much because it reflects well how an easier life takes away opportunities for us to improve and be disciplined. The phrase goes like this: "No one is more unfortunate than the man whom diversity has forgotten, for he has no opportunity to be tested." Unfortunately, the world is eliminating sources of resistance that are necessary to create discipline. We must understand that comfort is not a bad thing. For Stoics, it's just a tool, and this tool can be used for good or for bad. Using comfort to rest after fulfilling our responsibilities is a good thing, something I encourage even. The problem arises with excessive comfort that atrophies our discipline. Everyone likes to sit on the couch and relax. However, discipline is uncomfortable. It's not enjoyable because it causes us suffering. But this discomfort is the catalyst for growth. It gives us a sense of development, accomplishment, and achievement. It shows us the limits of our capability and allows us to overcome them. So, how do we build discipline? The first step to being disciplined is to find a purpose, set a goal that you want to achieve. As mentioned before, discipline is like a muscle and, therefore, must be trained in the same way. For our discipline to grow, we need to create uncomfortable situations in our lives to practice it. Just as when training a muscle, you don't start by trying to lift 300 kilograms on the first day, you start with light weights. The same goes for discipline. We should start with small challenges, small purposes that we want to fulfill. Think of things in your life that are uncomfortable for you but that you know you're capable of doing. Setting tasks that you're unable to accomplish with your current level of discipline is a waste of time, just as setting goals that you can overcome effortlessly is. Conquering these small uncomfortable tasks will help build your discipline gradually, and soon you'll be able to challenge yourself with harder goals. Each goal achieved is a repetition we make to strengthen our discipline muscle. Here are some goal ideas that you can set for yourself to work on discipline. Try to exercise regularly, such as running a certain number of days per week or going to the gym. Besides being healthy, this will make you feel satisfied and work your discipline. Participate in sports events in your city. Look for sports events in your city and use them as a challenge to overcome and work on your discipline. For example, participate in a race. Martial arts. Few sports work as much discipline as martial arts. Besides, you get in shape and learn to defend yourself. Learn a new hobby, like cooking, sewing, or gardening. Developing new passions and hobbies is perfect for practicing constancy and dedicating effort to a task that enriches you as a person. Build something. Building something is another perfect activity to work on patience, effort, and discipline. Think of a project that excites you and try to complete it. Wake up early. Waking up early is a difficult task for many, making it perfect to work on discipline. You don't need to wake up very early all at once. Start gradually. I hope this video is helpful for you to become more disciplined or at least inspire you to overcome yourself. I'd like to hear your opinion on the subject. Leave your comments below. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to receive more content like this. Thanks for watching, and until next time.